What's up everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Israel Adesanya goes off on Sean Strickland. While a bout between Israel Adesanya and Sean Strickland seemed like a lock for the main event of UFC 293 in September, the promotion seems to have little interest in booking the two men to compete against one another. With Dricus du Plessis unable to make the quick turnaround to compete on the card, the last stylebender made it clear that he wants to fight Strickland. Despite that, and the fact that the card is just weeks away, the UFC continues to leave fans wondering who will headline the card. This week, Strickland took to Twitter to give fans some insight into his negotiations with the UFC, writing, "UFC history, Sean fight this good guy on a 2-day notice, sure. Sean, fight this guy we want to be the next big name in the top 5 if he beats you, sure. Sean, we might have you fly across the world on a 5-week notice to fight the Chinese champion, sure. LMAO." That same day, Strickland also tweeted that he was giving the UFC until Monday to finalize the fight, otherwise he'd be heading on the vacations he has planned. While the fight has yet to be announced, Strickland also seems to have deleted the tweet, issuing the UFC a deadline. The last stylebender was quick to react to Strickland's tweet, calling him out for exaggerating the short notice nature of the bout. LOL, 5 weeks. You've been training since your last fight. We both fighting on short notice. You're not doing nothing special, you dirty. With UFC 293 in Sydney rapidly approaching, who do you think the UFC will have headline the highly anticipated card? Drop your predictions in the comments section down below. Conor McGregor and Justin Gaethje beef. In the main event of UFC 291, Justin Gaethje put on a spectacular performance as he knocked Dustin Poirier out cold with a beautiful head kick that saw him capture the BMF title. After the fight, former 2-division champion Conor McGregor quickly went to Twitter to insert himself into the situation, stating that he would slap Gaethje before then, proclaiming himself as the true BMF. When Justin Gaethje was informed of the comments during a post-fight press conference, he seemed unfazed by the Irish superstar, claiming that McGregor has allegedly turned him down on 6 occasions.
I like to fight big fights. I like exciting things, so it sounds pretty exciting to me. I'm not going to fight someone on steroids. I've never taken steroids in my life, never will. Well, maybe when I retire I might, but I've never taken steroids, and I don't want to fight someone that is cheating. So, and I probably shouldn't even say that if I want to fight, but it's the truth.
McGregor then followed things up with another tweet where he guaranteed that he would knock out Gaethje in 1 shot. The back and forth drew the attention of Michael Chandler, who has been eager to finalize a fight with McGregor. Chandler took to Twitter to weigh in on McGregor, telling him to call for the fight. Just pee in the cup, Notorious MMA. It ain't that complicated. The situation also caught the attention of Dominance MMA head Ali Abdelaziz, who McGregor has a long-standing beef with, stemming from his fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov. Abdelaziz wrote that McGregor should stop using other people to keep himself relevant, keeping the bad blood between the two alive and well. For his part, McGregor hinted at re-entering the USADA testing pool with a deleted tweet where he simply wrote, "Hello USADA." As his manager Audi Alto recently indicated, McGregor has no plans to bypass the full 6 months of required testing before being eligible to compete, given that a return to the testing pool in August would see the Irish star eligible to fight in February. Do you think he'll finally re-enroll in the USADA testing pool? Or is he all talk? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Before we continue, make sure you give that like button some love, and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all of the latest news. Dustin Poirier opens up on knockout loss to Justin Gaethje. Dustin Poirier's knockout loss in the UFC 291 main event was the first time he was finished by strikes since his 2016 KO loss to Michael Johnson years back. Moments after regaining consciousness following the vicious head kick KO, Poirier could be seen shaking hands with Gaethje, giving the BMF his props for the finish. Despite the knockout, Poirier appeared at the post-fight press conference where he discussed the loss, explaining that he was taking things in stride because he knows deep down he's already a winner in life.
It sucks, obviously, losing sucks, but I've lost before. I've said the same thing before. It's not cool to be acquainted with these feelings, but I've been here before, But, man, the career I've had and the fights I've had and where I come from, I feel like I've already won, So I'm just taking it minute by minute right now, but I'm good.
No doubt.
I'm good. If I win like a man, I got to be able to lose like a man, and it's heartbreaking, but I keep coming back like Pookie, It keeps calling me. I can't stop.
As Poirier also explained, at this stage of his career, he isn't interested in fighting an up-and-coming competitor and is only looking to compete in fights that excite him. Following the main event, Jorge Masvidal spoke backstage about the fight after being vocal about his desire to wrap the belt around Poirier's waist during fight week.
Great fight. I felt Dustin was dictating the pace, landed the better shots in the first round. It was all going Dustin's way. And then the fight game, Justin looked down and came up with a head kick, and he caught my boy. It was a perfect kick. Dustin actually kind of saw some of it because he had his hand up, but he didn't have both hands up. So the kick wrapped around the back of his head, and that was all she wrote, man. That was a hell of a shot.
With plenty of exciting fights at 155 pounds, who do you want to see Dustin Poirier compete against next? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Noche UFC adds exciting welterweight showdown. Noche UFC, also known as the UFC's upcoming Mexican Independence Day card on September 16th, added a thrilling welterweight matchup this week. According to reports, Daniel D. Rodriguez and Santiago Ponzinibbio will square off on the card, with Rodriguez expected to get some major crowd support given his Mexican heritage. The fight will see Rodriguez look to snap a two-fight skid that most recently saw him TKO'd by Ian Machado Gary back in May. The loss marked the first time Rodriguez had been stopped via strikes in his entire career. On the flip side, Ponzinibbio will be looking to return to the win column after suffering a knockout loss to Kevin Holland back in April. The loss dropped the welterweight veteran's record to 2-3 over the last 5 as he approaches his 37th birthday. Who do you think winds up winning this welterweight clash? Drop your predictions in the comments section below. Jan Blachowicz rips decision following loss to Pereira. In the co-main event of UFC 291, former UFC champions Jan Blachowicz and Alex Pereira competed in a highly anticipated light heavyweight matchup. The fight saw Pereira nab a big decision victory, putting him in position to compete for the vacant title opposite Yuri Prochazka. After the fight, Blachowicz was not too happy with the split decision loss, taking aim at the judges for robbing him of a pivotal victory. In the message on Instagram, he posted a picture with his team along with the caption, "Bunch of thieves, they robbed me." Anyway, thank you all for your support. I'll be back. Although the decision remains somewhat controversial, the verdict community scorecards show that viewers scored the second and third rounds for Pereira, backing up the two judges who gave him the fight. While Blachowicz racked up 7.5 minutes of control time, he didn't do the damage he needed to win the fight. In addition to being outstruck 112-82, Blachowicz landed just 52 significant strikes to Pereira's 70. At 40 years old, it'll be interesting to see where Blachowicz goes from here. After a draw with Magomed Ankalaev and a loss to Pereira, only time will tell who the former champion competes against next. And now for our breaking news story of the day. We have Alex Pereira announcing his next UFC fight. Alex, in his post-fight interview, said that he wanted to take the belt at light heavyweight. So it's possible that the UFC is planning a trilogy fight between Alex and Izzy at light heavyweight to settle their beef. But the fight that's next for Alex seems to be against Yuri Prochazka. Today, Yuri went on the MMA Hour to say that he expects to take on Alex next for the vacant light heavyweight title. He also said he expects the fight to happen before the end of the year.
So do you think in your heart that it will be you versus Alex next for the vacant title? Is that what you're feeling?
Yeah, sure. That's the my next fight will be the title. So I think Alex is the very good chance to show the world a good title fight. And I like to see him like opponent in my next fight.
Would you like to see Yuri Prochazka versus Alex Pereira this year? Who do you think will win? Let us know in the comments. Nate Diaz explains lack of trash talk leading up to Jake Paul fight. Leading up to Nate Diaz's August 5th boxing match against Jake Paul, the Stockton superstar has been notably quiet. While Diaz was notorious for talking trash to his opponents in MMA, he has no desire to engage in a back and forth with Jake Paul. During a recent interview with ESPN, he explained the difference between he and Paul's mindset going into the fight.
I don't talk a bunch of shit like he wants to do. I don't want to sit here and talk shit and go back and forth. He said something about me up at the press conference. I'm like, I wasn't there for no argument. I don't even want to go to a press conference to argue with nobody. If we're gonna argue, we're gonna fight. So let's just stay the away from each other until it's time to fight. Part of my language.
In the same interview, Diaz also opened up on his request to make the fight 10 rounds, revealing that he may have been playing some mind games with Paul.
I don't really care about the rounds. I'd rather less rounds, but it's just funny to see him make a deal over it anyway.
With the fight rapidly approaching, only time will tell whether or not Diaz is able to hand Paul his second straight loss.